happy Monday, my friends, and welcome back into another edition of Prime Sports World. We are going live to you on YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and on the Huddle Sports Network on your Roku devices. Please like, share, and subscribe to our podcast. On today's episode of the Prime, we're going to be talking about week number 13 in the National Football League. I'm, of course, your host, David On Point Huppin. Right there, my co-host, Mr. T.J. Hopkins, and from the Daily Blitz.blog, Mr. Christian Simpson. Welcome to the show, gentlemen. Hope you all had a very nice Thanksgiving. Happy Monday. How you all doing?
Pretty good. Just got done with Monday Evening Quarterback. That episode will be up shortly.
And you can find that on YouTube, correct?
Spotify.
So go over there on the Daily Blitz.blog on Spotify to find that Monday Evening Quarterback. Shameless plug for you right there, Christian.
Yeah, absolutely.
TJ, how you doing, man?
I gotta go back to work tonight, so yeah. Like we off the whole week. You gotta go back.
I'm on vacation this week, so I'm gonna try to enjoy.
David, I'm about to look. David, I'm about to be on one too. And guess who's not gonna be on one? TJ.
I had to take my car in, so I kind of got my car back out of the shop. $500 freaking dollars later. So. That's
what they say? What they say?
One of the coil packs went out on it, so like it was like destroying the engine. So
Damn.
Yeah, it was gonna be. If I had because I was originally going to ignore it, and then I started Googling what causes your check engine light to flash like that, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna take this in.
It's because like it could be a myriad of things, but anyway, let's
talk about football. And Christmas came early for the Chicago Bears as Matt Eberflus was fired on Friday, on Black Friday, after one of the most embarrassing performances by a head coach that I can remember. Not calling a timeout with under 30 seconds left in the game and allowing the clock to expire. 39 seconds. 39 seconds left. Letting the clock expire on the final play and never getting off a field goal attempt. It was literally like the Bears and Matty Eberflus were throwing this game against the Detroit Lions. That's what it felt like while I was watching it. I'm like watching the clock tick and tick and tick. I'm like, why are they not calling a timeout? You have it. It's not like you can take it with you. But Detroit, they have now won, I think, 5 games in a row, or it might be 7 games in a row now. Their only loss is earlier this season. They're 23 and Bears lose 23-20. Caleb Williams really shined in the second half of this game. Also, Thomas Thomas is now the head coach, interim head coach of the Chicago Bears. Thomas. Yeah, thank you. But Caleb Williams, 20 of 39, 256 yards and 3 touchdowns. This looked real abysmal at halftime as they were falling. They were trailing 16 to nothing. It could have been even worse. Lions just unable to convert touchdowns. They had to settle for a couple field goals in the first half. On the leg of Jake Bates. Caleb Williams also leading rusher. DJ Moore, Keenan Allen all had the 3 touchdowns for the Bears. On the other side, Jared Goff, 21 of 34, 222 yards and 2 touchdowns. David Montgomery hit 88 yards. Sun God, 5 for 73. And Sam Laporta caught both of the touchdowns for the Detroit Lions as they beat the Bears and they escort Matt Eberflus out of his job in Chicago. So let's just talk about the scenario. Let's talk about the situation. What were your thoughts when you were watching that unfold?
TJ, you want to go first? I'll let you go first.
Yeah. So as y'all know, I was in Colorado with my brother watching the game, and I literally had a conniption, yelling at the TV, saying call timeout, like what are you doing? What the F are you doing? What is going on? Pretty much every explicit word that can be said was said by yours truly. And I was literally counting down the time. Like it got to about 2:53. I made a status on Facebook. I'm like, it's 2:53 Mountain West time, and Matt Eberflus still has a job. And it was that bad. Like y'all remember the the Broncos Seattle game, like year 1 under with Russ.
Yeah.
And the Monday night game and Peyton Manning, like the Manningcast, Peyton Manning's just like timeout. Like he's literally just like the clock's just ticking, and Peyton Manning's just losing his mind over the fact that they're not calling the timeout. And then they tried to kick like a 65-yard field goal
in Seattle, not in Denver.
Seattle, not in Denver, in Seattle, and the kicker came up woefully short. This was worse than that. Like Matt Eberflus was what was it 5-19 in one score games,
Yeah.
and during his tenure here. That first season is kind of understandable, right? You go 3-14, 7-8 of those were one score games, but your roster completely sucked. We understand that first year, right? Rookie head coach, bad roster, first time starting QB and Justin Fields, yada yada woo woo. So yeah, you're gonna lose some games that you probably were supposed to lose. Then the next year you get a little better. You go 7-10. This year, year three, no excuses. You know what to do. You know how to handle stuff, or at least we thought you did. And you were still making mistakes that rookie head coaches make. And then I didn't know it was possible to be worse on the microphone than Jerry Jones. Like had,
They executed that to perfection.
I had no idea. So like you got the Minnesota game where you don't blitz when you're supposed to blitz. Like it's 3rd and 13, bro. Sit in the house. Instead, you drop back in zone and you let Sam Darnold, who's still good enough to pick apart a zone, convert 3rd and 10, 3rd and 12, and 3rd and 13 in different spots of the game when your defense needs to get off the field. The Green Bay game. Oh, 47 yards is close enough. No, dude, get as close as possible for Cairo Santos. That way he doesn't have to line drive the kick. He can just chip it. Like I understand Izzy said that the kick got blocked. Guess what happens if he gets closer? He doesn't
Probably doesn't get blocked.
it probably doesn't get blocked. He doesn't kick because he doesn't have to kick it the way that he kicked it on that field goal. And then this one, the straw that broke the camel's back, Jalen Johnson is said to be the one who led the drive on getting Eberflus out of there, because they're like, when you got offensive players and we got players in general, Cole Kmet walking out, I don't know what the F just happened. Keenan Allen in his interview, I felt that we as players, emphasis, we as players did enough to win the game. So that means who coming up short? Because it ain't us.
I was watching that unfold at work, and so I work in Fort Wayne, if anybody doesn't already know that, and I work in a television newsroom, and I have a lot of Lions fans that are in my office, and I'm just watching this unfold, and like as it's counting down, and like I'm like, how are they not calling a timeout? Like how are you not using the timeout as soon as the sack happened? Like you don't get to take them with you. Like it was the most baffling. It was the most baffling head coaching decision I've ever seen in my life. And I'm glad the Matt Eberflus era is over.
And the people blaming Caleb. Well, the people blaming Caleb Williams, like, no, you're the coach. Look, you're the coach.
Yeah,
you're the coach.
Yeah, I mean, Caleb Williams is a rookie. He doesn't really have the cachet to be one of those guys that's going to take a timeout.
I don't even think the players can call a timeout.
The quarterback can call a timeout. I'm pretty sure.
I
guess I could be wrong. But I could have sworn quarterbacks. And Christian, you may want to be able to correct either of us on that. But
no, a quarterback could call a timeout. And no, go ahead, TJ. I know you got more you want to say.
But nonetheless, the minute that sack happens, it's 36 seconds left, 32 seconds or whatever. The minute that sack happens, timeout. There's 3 plays you can run if everything goes right. 3 plays you can run in 32 seconds to get in the field goal range to tie the game and go to overtime. Now, mind you, I said if everything goes right, so that means you call timeout, next play, quick out, get out of bounds, stop the clock, quick out, get out of bounds, stop the clock, field goal, go to OT. Those are the 3 plays. But this guy's just standing there letting the clock just run, and it's like, and then by the time Caleb gets the play call, the only thing that's left is a shot to the end zone, and everybody, like the receivers, are like, I don't know what we're doing. It's hike. We got to go. Like what?
Yeah. It was sloppy. It was messy. And it marked the end, especially since it happened on national television. Everybody's watching that game on Thanksgiving. Like it was just one of those situations where you could not ignore.
I also think that you got the score wrong. Is that 23-10 or is that 20? It's 23-20.
Oh yeah, 20. My bad. Yeah, I'll fix that real quick.
And it's like, again, like you said it. Glad it's over. Probably should have been hired in the first place. But at the same time, again, this is a George McCaskey special. This is this is what they do. This is what the McCaskies do. Hey, as long as the seats are filled, we're happy. We're gonna live off the '85 Bears memory for another 40, 50 years because that's all they care about. Like next year would be the what? 2025 would be the what? The 40-year anniversary or 50-year anniversary, 40-year anniversary of the 1985 team, and they're gonna spend all their time celebrating that versus what they should be doing. You want to know? You want to know why New England was successful for 20 years? Because they didn't have a 20-year anniversary, a 10-year anniversary celebration for the Super Bowl team that won in 2000. Hey, we got shit to win right now. Like that. That's the difference. That's
so moving on. So on the Lions side of this, I mean, pretty good win. The Bears are division rivals.
Not a good win. Not a good win.
You moved to 11-1. You got Buffalo coming up, so like you had to like the division games are always going to be tough, especially on the platform on Thanksgiving. Detroit, yeah, you did enough to win the game. You would have liked to have seen you been a little more efficient on offense, especially since you had the opportunity. I mean, this game could have been way out of hand by the end of the first half, but you were unable to convert in the red zone. So,
yeah, Christian, go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, I think the writing was on the wall for this to happen because so many Bears fans, I even said this on Monday, even the quarterback, when I recorded today. So many Bears fans, like I see it on social media all the time. The hashtag has been fire flutes, right? So the way I've been explaining it when people have been asking my thoughts, number one, it's not what he did because that's a completely different conversation in itself. What did it for me was the lack of accountability at the press conference because he stood behind his call. And my thing is this. I've watched this game so many times. I've seen so many head coaches do press conferences. And when the game goes wrong or something doesn't go right, what do you normally hear from the coach? We have to be better. We're going to go back to the drawing board. But most importantly, it starts with me. I accept responsibility. And moving forward now, the Bears need a leader of men. And Matt Eberflus wasn't that.
From there, let's move on to the two other Thanksgiving games. Let's start first in Dallas. New York Giants were pretty inept on offense before they finally got the 10 points in garbage time to kind of push Dallas a little bit in this game. But the Dallas Cowboys win this 27-20. Drew Lock got the start as Tommy DeVito is injured. He threw a pick six. But other than that, I mean, he was just fine. He ran a rushing touchdown. Tyron Tracy continues to have a really solid rookie season and should get some votes for Offensive Rookie of the Year. He won't win it, but he for sure gets some consideration there. Leak Neighbors, 8 for 69. Cooper Rush, as Dallas, kind of surging at the right time right now. 21 of 36, a touchdown. Rico Dowdle had his first 100-yard game of his entire NFL career. He had a touchdown. Kevontae Turpin led the team in receiving yards. As very interestingly, CeeDee Lamb was rewarded to the bench for a majority of the second half. So things probably not great in Dallas right now. But they do get a win, and they kind of keep their season sort of afloat for right now.
Yeah, they do. I mean, then you got Micah Parsons talking at the end of the game saying we're back. You beat the Giants.
You beat the Giants.
They got 2 wins.
Listen. If you had beat Baltimore and who else did they lose to? And the Lions and
Saints.
And the Saints and all that. Okay. You have every right to run your mouth then. But you beat a team that you beat up on for the last 8 years.
Yeah, that was the hilarious part about this. It's like people clown Stephen A for what he says about the Cowboys, and then the players do exactly what he says they do. Like he says it all the time. Like the Cowboys could go now 2-15, and the minute the season's over, we're going to Super Bowl next year, right? Like, bruh, Michael again. Christian said it. Y'all be the team that has 2 wins. They're clearly tanking. They're probably going to fire everyone.
Yeah.
And
I think the writing is on the wall that literally everyone's going to get fired in New York when the season
and you talking about some we coming for what? Like the first class tickets to Cancun because hey, Like again, yeah, what are you coming for? Like y'all beat a team by 7, by the way, and I understand like the final score probably don't indicate how much of a blowout it was, but nonetheless, one score game is a one score game, and this is why no one takes y'all seriously because y'all talk big with your chest out after beating the team with 2 wins.
Yeah. Moving on to the nightcap on Thanksgiving, Miami Dolphins going to cold Lambeau Field and they fall 30-17. And so that narrative about the Miami Dolphins not being able to travel into cold weather continues. Tua Tagovailoa 37-46, 365, 2 touchdowns. Raheem Mostert, 5 for 19 as they just could not run the ball effectively in this game. But Tyreek Hill had a receiving touchdown on a kind of like a pop-up pass that he kind of just got lucky and caught in the end zone. Devon Achane caught an early touchdown in this game. And then on Jordan Love, another solid outing for him as the Packers continue to cruise. They're 9-3 now. They've been absolutely dominant in the first half of the last 2 games that they've played. 21-28, 274 yards and 2 touchdowns. Josh Jacobs had another touchdown. That makes 4 touchdowns for him in the last 2 weeks. And Jaden Reed had both touchdowns for the Green Bay Packers. Tucker Kraft, the tight end, led them in receiving yards with 78.
Yeah, I ain't got nothing to say on the Green Bay side. I really don't. I sent Christian a quote from Mike McDaniel in the press conference that they said that he was asked how is he going to prep his players for the cold weather, and Christian, you remember what he said? What the quote was?
Something about ice cubes.
Yeah, he said something like, "I'm going to throw ice cubes at my players." It's like, dude, I can't take you seriously anymore. I don't care. I don't care what you do in Miami in September and October, or what you do in any other city that gets cold during that time frame. Because when it gets to this time of year and you got to go to Buffalo and you got to go to Baltimore and you play in the Cincinnati and you play in the Chicago if it gets cold and you go to Green Bay or you go to Seattle where it can get pretty cold up in Seattle, or you go to New York and it's literally if it's 40 degrees or lower, you're going to lose because your preparation ain't worth a damn. Dude, you know where you're going and yet you stay in Miami. I never understood why warm city teams do this. We're going to talk about San Fran later. If you know you're going to a cold weather city, leave.
Especially if you know it's going to be a blizzard. But I don't know. I think the San Fran thing was a little bit because there's no way you can recreate those kind of conditions with like all the snow and like the snow continuing to fall during the game because it wasn't really the cold weather. It wasn't all that cold in Buffalo. It was cold, but it was the snow that was the big factor in that game. We'll talk about it.
But you know what you can do? You can leave. You can go to that city early.
Yeah,
you can do that. Like if you're Miami, hey, we're going to Green Bay. So you know what? We're going to spend a week. We're going to spend a week. We're going to go home. We're going to get our stuff, and then the next day, we're going to Green Bay, and we're going to stay there for a week.
I mean, you could find a college campus and just practice there,
practice there.
Yeah, and get acclimated to the cold weather.
Like the offense that Miami that we're so used to seeing them go up and down the field, deep balls and all this stuff. It's almost like, oh, it's cold. Let me dink and dunk down the field, and you're not going to beat Green Bay doing 2-yard dump passes and then hoping that Tyreek Hill breaks some stuff and gets loose. It's not happening.
On the other side of the Packers side, like, yes, they've been very dominant. Like, I mean, they're 9-3, but they haven't really beaten anyone that I'm like, okay, like that's a feather in the cap right there. I mean, their victories have come against the Colts, the Titans, the Rams, Cardinals, Texans, Jaguars, Bears, 49ers, Dolphins. And 49ers, didn't have their starting quarterback and their best defensive player. They haven't. Yeah, I just think they haven't. Like when they've gone up against a really elite team in the NFC, or just in general, they've lost. They got beat by the Eagles. They got beat by the Vikings. They got beat by the Lions. I'm not a total buyer in on Green Bay. I just don't know how good they actually are.
But hey, they stopped the tush push.
Okay, great. Christian.
No, I like what I'm seeing from Green Bay because they're slowing the game down, they're simplifying things, and Josh Jacobs has been Green Bay's best player this year. There's been more tape on Jordan Love, and he gets a little happy with the feet. And when you get happy feet, what does that result in? Interceptions. Yeah, and you kind of hit a point, David, spot on about Miami. They struggle against the elite teams. I said this all last year too. Couldn't beat Kansas City. Lost to Kansas City twice. Couldn't beat Baltimore. Couldn't beat Buffalo when they had the opportunity to even win the division. And yeah, I mean, Miami to me, until they make a couple of more moves, they're just going to be a middle of the pack team.
Yeah, moving on from there, let's swing into Black Friday football. For some reason, the NFL feels like we need to have a Black Friday football game on. NFL, if you're going to have a Black Friday football game, have it at like prime time. Like, why run the game at 3:00 in the afternoon? Like, it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. Anyways, on one of the most baffling plays I've ever seen in my life, where they're in field goal range, the Raiders. Obviously, they lose this game 19-17, but they're in field goal range for Daniel Carlson, one of the better place kickers in the NFL. And Jackson Powers Johnson, who's I think still going to be a very good football player in the NFL. He's been pretty good for them as a center. He explicitly snaps the ball to Aiden O'Connell when he's not looking for it, and it's a fumble. And that's how the game ends, essentially. We can just go through the stats. I mean, Aiden O'Connell threw 2 touchdowns. All their running backs are hurt in Vegas. So Sincere McCormick was the leading rusher. Brock Bowers continues to be just a revelation. Like, he's like that meme of that car in that park, like the what is it, a trailer park where they have that really nice car in the trailer park. Brock Bowers is that really nice car. But 10 catches for 140 yards and a touchdown. Trey Tucker also had a touchdown. I think he's a rookie too, so he's had a pretty solid rookie season too. On the other hand, Patrick Mahomes, 1 touchdown. Isaiah Pacheco returned from IR, and he had 44 yards. It looks like Justin Watson had the lone receiving touchdown for the Kansas City Chiefs as they barely escaped the Las Vegas Raiders on just an absolute head-scratching play at the very end of this game.
Yeah. I saw somebody say this on social media the other day. The Chiefs may not be great, but they're great when it comes to surviving. Now, I don't want to say I necessarily agree with that because TJ remembers, I said it to him all the time when the Chiefs were struggling around this time, that they don't scare me anymore. I feel they can be had in the playoffs. They're going to go on the road. And what happened? They beat Buffalo. Baltimore. And they had
a lot of
– Listen,
I'm
not writing this team off, TJ. I'm trying to tell you, they're gonna – Kermit's going to turn it on when he has to.
That's cool enough, but it's – the fumble ain't the issue. The fumble is an issue. I ain't gonna say it's not. But how do you call an illegal shift, then completely pick it up because it was a fumble recovered by the Chiefs? You can't. No. If an illegal shift was called, therefore, guess what? That's a dead ball. It's a dead ball. That means the Raiders should have still had the ball and had an opportunity to get back in the field goal range.
Well, I mean, if it's a false start, it's a dead so illegal shift is a post penalty. A false start would be would blow it dead. Illegal shifts, I don't think usually do.
Right.
Yeah, you're right. But anyway, it's.
I also how is it an illegal shift? I mean, I didn't see anyone in motion, so I mean,
this is what the article is saying. It says Aiden O'Connell took full responsibility for a fumble snap. Quarterback's head coach doesn't regret the way the Raiders finished their final drive, however, and in fact believes the officiating contributed to the team's critical error. Addressing reporters after Friday's 19-17 defeat, Antonio Pierce initially admitted, quote, there was a lot going on, end quote, during the Raiders' final play, during which O'Connell couldn't corral an early snap and Las Vegas was penalized for an illegal shift, pushing them out of field goal range and turning the ball over to the Chiefs. Asked Saturday if he'd do anything differently to close the drive, such as avoid a shotgun snap while trying to burn the clock before a would-be field goal try, Pierce was blunt and said no. The coach added that the turnover may have stemmed from a misunderstanding caused by the officials. Quote, "We heard a whistle on our sideline," end quote, said Pierce. Like, apparently there was an inadvertent whistle and all that, and that went down. But the league they sent that to the league office. He said he doesn't anticipate any meaningful action, which we all can agree on. Like the one thing the NFL is going to do is they gonna back their officials unless it's just something they just can't defend, like the Saints Rams NFC Championship from a few years ago. This is I guess this is you can chop it up to bad officiating, you can chop it up to bad teams doing bad things, which is why they're bad. You can chop it up to a bunch of things. Bottom line is, again, like if you're the Raiders and you got a chance to win, do what you got to do to win. Like don't do that. Whatever the hell that was.
Yeah. Moving from Friday, let's swing into Sunday afternoon, and the Atlanta Falcons continue to not want to win the NFC South as they turn it over. Kirk Cousins throws 4 picks and 0 touchdowns. He's been absolutely abysmal over the last 3 games so far this season. The Chargers defense comes back into form after they got basically ran out of the gym a little bit by the Ravens the week before in the Harbaugh Bowl, but they win 17-13. Justin Herbert 16-23, 147 yards. Gus Edwards leading rusher as J.K. Dobbins is now on IR for at least the next 4 weeks. Sad to see that. Gus Edwards 6-for-32. Ladd McConkey goes over the century mark for, I think, the second time this season. Kirk Cousins, as I mentioned, 4 picks, 0 touchdowns. Bijan Robinson goes over the century mark and a touchdown. And Ray McLeod, leading receiver for the Atlanta Falcons. And this game constantly, Kirk Cousins and the Atlanta Falcons, they get them in position where they're in scoring range. And Kirk Cousins throws a costly interception in back-to-back possessions, back-to-back drives, and basically seals this game for the Atlanta Falcons as they come up short against the Chargers.
Go ahead, Christian.
I think I'm the only one on this panel that actually had the Chargers winning this game. Because
I thought they did too, but I don't.
Don't nobody care about him. Ain't nobody care.
And I'm rude. Okay.
You are.
Continue.
Okay. What you gonna do? Confront me after the show?
See, Mugs talk big and bad, but they not here in person though. It's okay.
Okay. I trust Justin Herbert a lot more than I do Kirk Cousins. And like you said, David, Kirk Cousins has just looked awful these last couple of games. And it makes me wonder, are the Falcons going to start Michael Penix Jr. at any given moment? Because they need a spark somehow, some way. But you said it best. The Chargers came back, and their defense got back to form, swarming to the ball, sacking Kirk Cousins, forcing those takeaways, tackling in open space, getting off the field on third down, things you didn't see against the Baltimore Ravens.
I'm not putting Michael Penix out there with this mess. Starting him in week 14 and going forward really ain't gonna tell you much. Because if you're Atlanta, if you're Atlanta, you're still in this thing. And Kirk Cousins, for what it's worth, Kirk Cousins still gives you the best chance at winning. Christian in the group, somebody asked, "Is Bijan Robinson the bust?" Because he don't really hear nothing about him, and everybody's like, "A bust? Where you been?" That's the point, because Bijan Robinson is approaching 1,000 yards and no one's talking about him. No one's talking about him. He's approaching 1,000 yards and like 7-8 touchdowns right now, and he's not being talked about. Like that.
Well, I mean, because it's the Falcons. I mean, they haven't been what people thought they'd be on offense. Especially over the last month or so. I mean, Kirk Cousins was throwing that game-winning touchdown against the Philadelphia Eagles. They were a really nice story. But now that he hasn't thrown a touchdown in 3 games and he's throwing picks left and right, They're not talking about the Atlanta Falcons.
They're not talking about Atlanta. And again, 4 picks. Like once again, you knew what you were getting when you signed Kirk Cousins. I said it at the start of the season. Like there's these teams, these teams that start over, or these teams that get new quarterbacks. There's going to be growing pains. The Falcons, the Bears, Pittsburgh, and like you're starting over with a new quarterback. There's going to be growing pains. Atlanta just so happened to be having theirs in possibly the worst opportune time. Same thing with the Bears. The Bears were 4-2. They've lost 6 straight. Like that's the worst time to be going through some growing pains as a team. If you're the Chargers, hey man, keep rolling. You're not good. Obviously, you're not catching the Chiefs, right? Like the lead in the division is too big. Me and Christian talk outside of this. We believe the Chargers can beat the Chiefs. Hopefully, pray on it. But
well, I mean, I guess we'll find out next week.
hopefully, pray on it. But if you're Atlanta, don't put Michael Penix out there. Just keep if you're Raheem. This is Raheem Morris.
Yeah, I know.
If you're Raheem Morris, just keep whatever the plan is with Penix. Keep it the same. Don't speed up his clock. Don't do none of that. Keep working with him because I'm one of his flaws coming into the draft was how he threw the ball, his throwing motion. And if you want to work on that, keep working on it, but don't put him on the field in live scenarios where his flaws can constantly be brought to the forefront. Just stay with Kirk, just finish out the season and go from there.
Moving on from there, swinging into what was the highest scoring game between Pittsburgh and Cincinnati in the history of this rivalry. It's Pittsburgh, and Russ cooked in this game. 44 points for the Pittsburgh Steelers against 38 for the Cincinnati Bengals and Joe Burrow. Russell Wilson was absolutely cooking in this game. 29-38, 414 yards, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. Najee Harris got the pay dirt in the running game. And George Pickens had a touchdown. Pat Freiermuth had a touchdown. Calvin Austin III had a touchdown. On the other side of this, Joe Burrow continues to put up gaudy numbers on a terrible, terrible Cincinnati Bengals team. This is also like their defense has just regressed into what is unreal. Like you never could have imagined that their defense would regress this much in just one season. Joe Burrow, 3 touchdowns, 1 pick. Chase Brown got another touchdown. As he's had a really solid season, actually, the running back position for Cincinnati. Jamar Chase, T. Higgins, and Andrea Yoshivash all had receiving touchdowns for the Cincinnati Bengals as they come up short against Pittsburgh, 44-38 in an absolute barn burner of a game.
His name
30
is
and 5.
Last name Wilson.
30 and 5. Christian, you know what that is. 30 and 5.
Mm-hmm.
You know what that is. For those that don't, for the people in the back, and let the church say,
Amen.
Mm-hmm. That's touchdowns to interceptions. Those are Burrow's touchdowns to interceptions. 30 and 5.
And TJ, can a deacon of the church come to the pulpit real quick?
Wow.
And just say that, oh, Lord have mercy. No, you need to stop. What have I been saying? If the Bengals have a better record, he is your front runner for MVP, and it's not close.
Yeah.
Right
you want to know another number that Joe Burrow has, David? It's another 30. You know what that 30 is? Just guess.
Incompletions?
No. That number 30. You want to take another guess?
No.
The number of times he's been sacked.
Oh, it's not that high. It's not that bad.
It is that bad when you lose the ball. Right? That strip sack against the Steelers, that was the one that made this shit over with. Because that made it 41-24. And in no way, shape, or form did we think that they was gonna come back and win this game. 30 and 5. And I remember Joe Burrow. This is the next season after they lost the Super Bowl and being asked about the Super Bowl window, and he cockily, but I get it. You know, hey, as long as I'm here, the window's open. Hey, Joe, hey, bruh, if you ain't got no line, you ain't got no window. If you ain't got no receiver outside of Jamar Chase, you ain't got no window. If you ain't got no run game, sorry, Chase Brown, you my boy, but you ain't Joe Mixon. You ain't got no window. If you ain't got a defense to take the ball away and give you the ball, you don't got a window. Like this has been the problem with the Cincinnati Bengals. David, remember when every week on the triangle? Remember when I used to call for Marvin Harrison's job? I called for his job for a good 3 years in a row, Christian. Like however long me and David was in college together, and it was brief. I called for Marvin Harrison's job every day, every week we did a show.
Yeah.
You mean Marvin Lewis?
Yeah, Marvin Lewis. My bad.
I know what you meant.
I call for that man's job and Chris and David's like, no, come on. What if he does this? Get him out of that.
I think Zach Taylor. I think is going to be on it when it's all said and done this season.
And lo and behold, it's probably not even his fault all the way. He's like he has to work with the team that's bruh. They've taken cracks at the offensive line and it hasn't helped. It hasn't worked. Nothing's worked. You lose Jesse Bates, you don't really replace him. It doesn't work. Like whatever you do, it don't work. This is why, like, if you're Cincinnati, like the minute you went to that AFC Championship and that Super Bowl, the Paul Brown family should have been like, hey, what do we have to do to keep this thing going? Instead, you play it cheap. Jamar Chase takes out a $50 million insurance policy on himself because you don't want to pay him what he owed. Terrible, like bad organizations stay bad. Like bruh. And then on the other side, Christian, before you go, Mike Tomlin, 18 years. What 18 years? Not a losing season.
No. Christian.
18 years.
There's only 3 shining points on the Cincinnati Bengals. Number 9, number 1, and number 91. That's it.
Yep.
Other than that, this is a big win for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They turned it into a shootout, and they hung with the Bengals. But it's not that difficult to hang points on the Cincinnati defense. I'm just being completely honest here.
Moving on to the next game and the witching hour. If you guys know the witching hour, if you guys watch NFL Red Zone, the witching hour was
where wins become losses and losses become wins.
The witching hour yesterday was insane in the early afternoon window. Let's start first in Minnesota as they scored 10 points in the final frame and ended up pulling this victory from the from the Arizona Cardinals, 23-22, as Sam Darnold threw the game-winning touchdown to Aaron Jones, who dropped the touchdown early and had a fumble in the red zone earlier in this game. Kyler Murray, 1 touchdown, 2 picks. James Conner, 68 yards receiving. Maserati Marv had a receiving touchdown. He's had a pretty solid rookie season. Trey McBride continues to be just a man-child when it comes to PPR and receiving. 12 catches for him in this game. Sam Darnold, 2 touchdowns, no picks. He also led this team in rushing. Justin Jefferson almost hit the century mark at 99 yards. And Johnny Mott and Aaron Jones had the receiving touchdowns for Minnesota as they escape against the Arizona Cardinals.
This was a grinded out win for Minnesota, but I've been telling TJ this. I personally think the Vikings are fool's gold. The 10-2 record isn't reflective of their recent play. Yeah, they were able to get those takeaways. They were able to score, but they haven't really been able to put a team away since Houston back in September. And that's week 3. Arizona, this is 2 tough losses on the road. You were kind of like the darlings in the NFL, but now you're looking up to Seattle. They own the head-to-head tiebreaker. You play Seattle this upcoming weekend. That's a big game in the NFC West.
TJ.
Again, this back-breaking loss if you're the Arizona Cardinals. This is like again, I don't understand do coaches just black out the last 3 minutes of a game? Do they just do the palms get that sweaty, Christian, in the last 3 minutes?
Man, I got no idea, man.
Do the lights get just that much brighter in the last 3 minutes? Do like what is it? Do the fans get that much louder in the last 3 minutes, David? Like what is it? How do you just crumble like that in that short a time frame? What is it? I remember at one point in this game, Kyler Murray was 7 of 9 passing. That's great. 7 of 9. He didn't have 40 yards passing.
I mean, he threw the ball 45 times in this game. It only amounted for 260 yards.
And at one point in time, you were 7 of 9, and you didn't even have 40 yards passing the ball. You look at this game. Aaron Jones had 22 yards. You win that game. They had 68 as a team.
Yeah. Sam Darnold was their leading rusher. He's their quarterback.
Like they had three. It was a 3-way tie. He had 22. Cam Akers had 22. Aaron Jones had 22. 68 yards. You win that game. You ran for 154 yards as a team. You win that game. What are you doing? What are you doing?
To the other game where it was also came down to the absolute wire. The Indianapolis Colts go for the 2-point conversion, and they beat the New England Patriots as Joey Sly's field goal comes up just a little bit short, probably by just like 1 or 2 yards. Joey Sly, who has one of the biggest legs in the NFL, it would have been a record of 68 yards. It was about a yard short from Joey Sly as New England falls 24-25 to the Indianapolis Colts as Anthony Richardson scores the the game-winning 2-point conversion. He also threw the game-winning touchdown to Alec Pierce. In this game, though, 12 of 24, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks. Jonathan Taylor had 96 yards. Anthony Richardson had a rushing touchdown. Alec Pierce and Jonathan Taylor had receiving touchdowns. On the other side, this New England Patriots team, they're not winning that many games, but they continue to play hard for Gerard Mayo. Drake May 1 touchdown, 1 pick. Ramondre Stevenson, 73 yards. Antonio Gibson, though, had the receiving touchdown. Austin Hooper had the lone receiving touchdown for the Patriots as they fall to the Colts, 25-24. And we got to move through these games a little bit faster. So
this game, this game pissed Christian off a lot more than it did me. So Christian, go ahead.
Listen, David, I almost threw my phone at the TV. I was so not going mad. Nah, because one thing I hate, and it bothers me to no degree, when teams are in the red zone and they try to be adorable, running jet sweep, running sleeve passes, run that thing up the middle. What are you trying to be cute for? You got trying to win a game. Stop trying to be cute and stop trying to show off, because they gave the ball to Jonathan Taylor on a halfback toss. I'm like, nah, man, run your ass up the middle. Seriously. But this ended up being one of the best games that I saw all day yesterday. Yeah. You know, like you jokingly go around and say, you know, Peyton Manning and Tom Brady aren't walking through that door anytime soon. But nah, this was entertaining. And I love those Patriots throwbacks they were wearing, by the way.
Me too.
Yeah, just make them the permanent go-to uniform. Yeah, like Christian texted, like everything he said, he texted me the whole ordeal because I'm all like, he like, hey, no, Andy trying to get cute, and then I text him back, oh, I see they scored. He like, you want to know why? Because they stopped being effing cute. Like, again, it just doesn't make sense, bro. Like, again, dude, 1 + 1 will always equal 2. Like, if you're on the goal line with Jonathan Taylor, you don't do a sweep play. You go up the gut. It's that simple. And New England, you had the right kicker to try that field goal. But
100%. Hey, Joey Sly, man.
Like, hey, like if Joey Sly was like you said, if Joey Sly was 66, if that was 66,
he would have made it. Yeah.
Instead of 68, he would have made it. But hey,
it was that accurate. Like, it was spot on. It just didn't have quite the distance on it.
Which usually is Joey Sly's like.
Power. Like he has no problem kicking it a billion yards. Usually it's just not accurate at all.
This kick was accurate and it was just short. All right, next game.
Two, there's another one where the rabbit got pulled out of the hat by Geno Smith and the Seattle Seahawks as they hold the New York Jets scoreless in the second half and scored 10 points in the final frame to beat the Jets 26-21, 20 of 31, 206 yards and a touchdown for Geno Smith. Kenneth Walker, 16 for 49. Zach Charbonnet had the lone rushing touchdown for the Seattle Seahawks. And then A.J. Barner had the lone receiving touchdown for the Seahawks. Aaron Rodgers, another up and down day, was pretty solid in the first half, but just not good at all in the second half. 2 touchdowns and a pick. Brees Hall had 12 and 60. Vontae Adams had the lone receiving, or one of the receiving. Isaiah Davis had the other one for the Jets as they fall, and they're now 3-9.
It wasn't just a pick. It wasn't just a pick, David. It wasn't just a pick. It was a 92-yard pick six to Big
big guy.
Yeah, to the former Jet, to the former Jet.
Leonard Williams.
Leonard Williams. Quinnen Williams. The Leonard Williams is in the other New York. But yeah, he gets the revenge dagger.
Like, bro, I saw a tweet yesterday.
Oh, yeah, Leonard Williams. Sorry, yeah.
I saw a tweet yesterday that said like the Niners are like, it was like, if I could find it, I'll read it. But it's basically like, yo, this season for the Jets can't end fast enough. Like, you had a better record with Zach Wilson. What more needs to be said about the Jets?
Yep. And for Seattle, that keeps them in the driver's seat in the NFC West. This is a big win for them.
Yeah, it really is. They're playing well right now, and I love the way their defense buckled down, getting after Aaron Rodgers, running a lot of cover zero, which is no safety in the middle of the field, tackling in open space, and their offense, their offense is sneaky explosive. Jackson Smith and Jigba, Tyler Lockett, DK Metcalf, Noah Fant. But I personally think their offense is even better when Kenneth Walker III is getting his carries.
Bro, yeah, that's my only knock on Seattle. It's you gotta, again, I've been calling for it for the longest. You got a possible two-headed monster in that backfield. Use it. David, you want both of y'all to get this reference. Y'all know what they comparing Aaron Rodgers and Devontae Adams to right now with the Jets? Paul Pierce and KG on the Nets.
Oh my God! Next game.
That's funny. Moving on to the next game. Let's just talk about this one very briefly. Tennessee Titans go into Washington and get beat down 42-19 as Washington outscored them in the first quarter, and they basically cruised to victory from there. But quietly, Will Levis has actually been pretty solid over the last month or so. His stats, he's got, what is it, 2, 4, 6, 8. So he's 8-3 in his last 5 games when it comes to touchdown to turnover ratio. Yeah. But Washington Commanders, Jaden Daniels, this is a good bounce back game, as we kind of talked about this a little bit when we did the preview show. Like, this was a bounce back game. This was a get right game for the Washington Commanders, who have struggled losing 3 in a row. 3 touchdowns for Jaden Daniels, including and another one rushing. They also ran the ball for 267 yards as a team, 5.9 yards per clip, and 3 touchdowns. And Nick Westbrook-Ikhine, I think this is 5 touchdowns in 3 games for him, as he had 2 in this game, as they fall to the Commanders 42-19. From there, going into the AFC South, and we're going to talk about the Houston Texans and the Jacksonville Jaguars. But before we got to talk about the actual result of the game, we got to talk about that hit by Azeez Al-Shaair. What do you think happens to him? Do you think he will be suspended for the rest of the season, or for a considerable amount of time?
It's looking that way. This is a guy.
So he's a repeat of, like, a quote unquote repeat offender.
The clip that's like, Christian, you said something in the group, and my response to that was, it's a lose-lose situation for him because he was being labeled dirty, but like even with the apology, he's being labeled dirty. And
it was a pretty dirty hit. I mean,
it like the people saying it's football, dude. Trevor Lawrence was clearly starting his slide 4 or 5 yards away from him, and he still he lunged. Like, that was just unnecessary to do that.
It does seem that, like, Trevor Lawrence is doing well, will be okay. I don't think they play him again this season. And I'm surprised he played in this game, to be completely frank with you. I thought they would shut him down for the season. Kudos for him to even be willing to go back onto the field. I know he's making a ton of money now, but he didn't necessarily have to play in this game. This is a lost season for Jacksonville. But for him to take that hit, hopefully he's going to be okay. Hopefully he'll be able to bounce back next season, or whatever happens with Trevor Lawrence. I think Ezekiel Shire is going to be suspended for the remainder of the year. I don't think he'll play again this season.
Yeah, I can.
Which would be a huge blow to the Houston Texans, because he's a valuable piece.
Yeah, he is. I could definitely see that. But me being a former defensive player, it's just tough, because what can we really do? Because things are already minimized. But Trevor was already down, and he shouldn't have even gone near him in that direction. I get momentum can sometimes carry you, but from the angle I saw it, yeah, that was definitely unnecessary. Most importantly, it was bush league.
Yeah. But the result of the game, Houston Texans win this one 23-20. The fact that this game was even close after Evan Ingram and a bunch of Jacksonville Jaguars key pieces on their offense got ejected during that skirmish with Ezekiel Shire. CJ Stroud, 22 of 34 and a touchdown. Joe Mixon goes over the century mark again, also had a touchdown. Bobby Schultz's cousin, Dalton Schultz, had the lone receiving touchdown for the Houston Texans. On the other side, Mac Jones came in for Trevor Lawrence. He threw 2 touchdowns in this game, one to Parker Washington, the other to Brian Thomas Jr., who also should get some consideration for Offensive Rookie of the Year. He's been fantastic this season, but they come up short 23-20 as Houston kind of escapes in a game, they should have won easily.
What do we say there? What's the average for coaches getting fired? 7 is usually 7.
Yeah.
Okay, so Chicago's 1. Who else got fired?
I mean, Robert Saleh. I
2.
imagine Dennis Allen got fired.
That's 3. Doug Peterson. You're gonna be 4.
Yeah.
So on and so forth. Rams Saints. Ooh.
Yeah, moving on to Rams Saints. Rams win 21-14 as they score 14. They score all their points in the second half, as this was a 6-0 game at halftime. Rams go up 21-14. Matthew Stafford 2 touchdowns. Kyron Williams had a touchdown. Puka Nacua and Demarcus Robinson both had receiving touchdowns. On the other side, Derek Carr 1 touchdown. Alvin Kamara over the century mark. Taysom Hill tore his ACL in this game, will be lost for the remainder of the season. We wish him a speedy recovery, as he is a interesting piece on the New Orleans Saints. And MVS, 3 touchdowns in 2 weeks. Kudos for him.
Yeah, much needed win for the Rams. You stay, not only do you you stay connected to the Cardinals, who that second spot is up for grabs with all that's going on with the Niners right now. So yeah, I ain't got nothing to say.
Yeah, this is a big win for the Rams to go into New Orleans, which isn't the easiest place to play. Yeah, that's all I can say.
Staying with the NFC South, we got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers pulling out the overtime victory, 26-23 over the Carolina Panthers. And Carolina quietly has played really good football over the last month or so. Hasn't necessarily resulted in victories, as they've lost 2 of those games, but they played tough. They played Tampa Bay tough. They played Kansas City tough last week or the week before. I don't know if they were on their bye last week or not. But Baker Mayfield, man, he took a hit in this game that I thought his season was going to be over. It looked brutal. It looked like he was going to be injured. He misses 1 snap and he returns to the game. Baker Mayfield is that dude. He is tough. But he did throw 2 bad interceptions. And one of them, right after that injury occurred. Bucky Irving, also another guy who's having a really solid rookie season, over 150 yards rushing and a touchdown. Mike Evans, old reliable, 118 and a touchdown. And Bryce Young, 1 touchdown. Chuba Hubbard, leading rusher. And Adam Thielen probably should have been 2 touchdowns, but he gets credit for 1 in this game as they come up short against.
And a sick ass one-handed catch. If you haven't seen it, oh my God, you got to see it, bruh. That was a beautiful catch by Adam Thielen. But again, bad teams find ways to lose the game. Like, it's overtime. You hand the ball off to Chuba Hubbard. Chuba Hubbard gets stripped. 1 or 2 plays later, Buccaneers kicking a walk-off field goal, drive home safely, beat. Hey, but I will say this. shout out to Bryce Young for turning this thing, like turning himself
Yeah.
around. Like, bro, you got benched. That could have went south really, really fast, and you've worked your way back, and you've shown the promise of what got you picked number one overall.
Yep.
Yeah, this was another good game. Tampa found a way to pull it out, and especially with Atlanta losing the three that they have, and Tampa Bay kind of gaining some ground. These next couple of games are crucial for them.
Yep. To the final game in the late afternoon window, we got the Philadelphia Eagles and one of the front runners for the MVP, Saquon Barkley, going into Baltimore and pulling out the victory, 24-19. Jalen Hurts, 11 of 19, 118 yards and a touchdown. Saquon Barkley, over 100 yards rushing and a touchdown. Jalen Hurts also had a tush-push touchdown in this game. And Dallas Goedert caught the lone receiving touchdown for the Eagles. On the other side, Lamar Jackson, 2 touchdowns, no picks. Derrick Henry, as we talk about a lot on this show, only that 19 carries for 82 yards. Would have liked to have seen him get over that 25 plateau, or at least over 20 carries. Mark Andrews had a crazy touchdown in this game. Also did Isaiah Likely. As Baltimore falls 24-19, it's Philadelphia is just on a roll right now.
You know, the thing about Baltimore is they just make me angry because when they play up to their potential and they play like they play how we know and how everyone knows they're accustomed to playing, I don't think there's a soul that can beat them. But then it just seems like they get away from what's working for them. Lamar can't drop back into the pocket and throw the ball X amount of times. I've been saying this to people for years, and this is why I don't take them seriously in January. The Eagles beat the Ravens at their own game. What have I said on this show? What Derrick Henry is to Baltimore, that's what Saquon Barkley is to the Philadelphia Eagles. Saquon had 23 carries. Derrick hits that mark, we're talking about a Ravens win, potentially, but give the Eagles a lot of credit because they're physical on both sides of the ball. And like I mentioned, I think this is the biggest threat right now to the Detroit Lions in the NFC.
Yeah, this game, I talked to Christian yesterday. This game was just super disappointing to me on the Ravens standpoint. I was expecting more fireworks, didn't get it. I just don't understand why Baltimore, when it comes to competition that can match them, I don't understand why Baltimore somehow just forgets the game plan. Like they just forget what makes them good. And that's giving the ball to Derrick. It's you want to get as close to a 50-50 split with Derrick Henry and Lamar Jackson running and passing as possible, and they just fail to do that whenever they play top-notch competition. And it's probably the main reason why they haven't been back to a Super Bowl since Joe Flacco. I don't know what to say.
To the final game and into the snow at Orchard Park as the Buffalo Bills beat down San Francisco 35-10. Also, thoughts with Christian McCaffrey. I don't know if it's a torn PCL, but it's some sort of PCL injury. Will miss the remainder of the season. He was really 7.6 yards per carry before he got injured. We don't know what the outcome of this game would have been if he had been able to stay healthy. It's sad we didn't get to see really these two teams really go head to head. But the snow was a big time problem for San Francisco for sure, as they were slipping all over the field. Buffalo wins 35-10. Josh Allen had a virtuoso performance here against the San Francisco 49ers. 2 touchdowns. He also, quote unquote, had a receiving touchdown. He also had a rushing touchdown. And he threw 2 touchdowns, including one technically to himself. James Cook had a 60-yard touchdown. Ray Davis had a touchdown. Everybody was getting touchdowns. On the other side, Brock Purdy had a bad fumble. Isaiah Guarda had a receiving touchdown. It was just a tough day at the office for San Fran. Anything that could go wrong did go wrong for this team as they fall to 5-7.
I ain't got nothing to say about the game. It went how we expected it to go, but not just thoughts and prayers to Christian McCaffrey. Thoughts and prayers to Trent Williams. Him and his wife lost their baby boy this morning.
Oh.
Yeah, I saw that.
So I ain't got nothing to say about the game, but I just wanted to close out with that.
Yeah, Buffalo, they were just more man than San Francisco. Normally, if San Francisco were healthy, they could play in those elements because they're physical on both sides of the ball. But just couldn't get much of anything going. The Bills are just rolling right now. They won the AFC East once again, and it wasn't even close.
But yeah, that's been our Week 13 recap. Thank you very much for joining us. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. We'll be back here tomorrow breaking down Monday Night Football. We will also be talking about week number 14 of the National Football League as we are getting down to the nitty-gritty. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. I'm David. He's TJ. That's from the dailyblitz.blog, Mr. Christian Simpson. And gentlemen, what do we do here at the Prime, my friends?
We bring the
heat.
And I know they probably going to trying to curse me out, but you know what? I'm going to block his number.
We'll be back here tomorrow. You guys all have a good night and stay safe out there. Peace out, gentlemen.
Welcome to the Huddle Sports Network, where we're breaking boundaries and redefining podcasting. Broadcasting live on 6 different platforms, we're bringing you the latest in sports like never before. Imagine tuning into real-time discussions, expert analyses, and fan interactions all at your fingertips. Each platform offers a unique experience, whether you're on YouTube, Facebook, or Twitch. We're not just sharing stories, we're creating a community of passionate sports enthusiasts. Join us as we dive deep into the evolution of podcasting, where every episode is a chance to engage, debate, and celebrate the world of sports. This is where your voice matters and the game never stops. Welcome to the Huddle Sports Network, where we're breaking boundaries and redefining podcasting. Broadcasting live on 6 different platforms, we're bringing you the latest in sports like never before, where sports passion meets podcasting brilliance. I'm Mike, the Bear fan, and alongside Bill, the Packer fan, and our buddy Ken Catalone, we're bringing you an incredible lineup of 38 diverse podcasters. Each one brings their unique flavor to the table, covering everything from game analysis to behind-the-scenes stories. Imagine diving deep into the minds of experts who live and breathe football, sharing